The right-wing candidate Guillermo Lasso, the candidate for the Creating Opportunities Party, has won this Sunday's presidential elections in Ecuador. In an exclusive interview for TeleSUR, the First Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, thanked the support that Venezuela has provided to his country in the midst of the emergency caused by volcano activity La Soufriere. Iran condemns a terrorist act perpetrated on Sunday against the Natanz nuclear plant and promises to take action against the perpetrators. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. Right-wing candidate Guillermo Lasso of the Creating Opportunities Party has won this Sunday's presidential elections in Ecuador. As it became clear from the ongoing vote count that Lasso had led some of 5 percentage points, he offered victory statements to his supporters, thanking them for their votes. Meanwhile, Andrés Araúz of the Union for Hope coalition greeted his supporters and thanked them for their support, while calling on progressive forces in the country to continue their struggle to address the serious challenges facing the country. According to the results published by the National Electoral Council, with 98% of ballots counted, Guillermo Lasso has secured 52.48% of the vote, against 47.52% for Andrés Araúz. In his first speech, as results, with over 90% of ballots counted, gave him a clear lead over his rival Guillermo Lasso, presidential candidate for the Creating Opportunities Party, thanked Ecuadorians for coming out to vote for him, and talk about what he plans to achieve as president.
As I have said before, I didn't come to the politics, to be more wealthy, not even to persecute others. I am only moved by the desire of serving all of you, especially the most vulnerable. And from May 24th, as your president, I will build a national project to listen to all of you, because this project will be of all of you, of all Ecuadorians.
The presidential candidate for the Union for Hope coalition, Andrés Araúz, held a press conference on Sunday night, where he recognized the victory of his rival Guillermo Lasso of the Creating Opportunities Party.
After these statements, I will make a phone call to Mr. Guillermo Lasso. I will greet him, and of course, for his electoral triumph obtained today. And I will prove him our democratic convictions. I've continued giving more ideas to the future of our country.
Peru saw general elections this Sunday to decide the 130 members of Congress and the President and Vice President of the nation. A total of 18 candidates were vying for the presidency with no clear winner, and the second round was likely to go ahead in June. According to exit polls by the pollster Ipsos, with 16.1% of the vote, the presidential candidate for the Free Peru National Political Party, Pedro Castillo, was in the lead. He was followed by Fernando de Soto of the Go On Country Party and Keiko Fujimori of the Popular Force Party, who were tied with 11.9%. The 17 delegations of international observers that participated on election day stated that the process was carried out with total normality. Meanwhile, of the 20 parties running for the 130 seats in Congress, Ipsos exit polls show that the Free Peru National Political Party and the Popular Action Party were leading. The president of Bolivia's Supreme Electoral Tribunal, Salvador Romero, confirmed a high and significant turnout in the second round of the regional elections held in 4 departments of the country on Sunday. Preliminary data show a fall in turnout as compared to the first round held on March the 7th. However, the electoral official noted that Sunday's turnout was within the parameters to guarantee the election's transparency. Local electoral authorities said they will quickly process the votes and announce the results in the shortest possible time, despite the legal deadline extending until April 18th. The electoral mission sent by the Inter-American Union of Electoral Organizations will deliver a report on Monday, while observers from the Organization of American States have not stated when they will issue a report on their observations. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. In an exclusive interview for TeleSUR, the First Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, thanked the support that Venezuela has provided to his country in the midst of the emergency caused by volcano activity in La Soufriere.
That TeleSUR is with us here from Venezuela. We are very, very pleased that President Nicolas Maduro has reached out to us as a good brother, and we are very pleased to see that tomorrow a vessel will come with 20 tons of relief supplies. Earlier today I spoke to the Foreign Minister of Venezuela, and I spoke to the Vice President Delcy, and Raul Akowski, the Vice Minister, is here. We know him very well. And tomorrow, with their 15 specialists who are coming in various areas touching and concerning disaster preparedness, we will have them operating within the framework of the National Emergency Management Organization, which is the legal entity in St. Vincent and the Grenadines dealing with disasters.
The Premier Gonsalves highlighted that in the explosion of the volcano La Soufriere in 1902, about 2,000 people died, and gave account of the events that happened in the recent volcanic activity.
Well, earlier this week, we declared the alert, stage 3 alert, and then ordered the evacuation. We had an explosive eruption, and this explosive eruption has caused a lot of havoc in the country. As you would notice behind us, there's a map with 4 zones: the red zone, the orange zone, the yellow zone, and the green zone. The green zone includes the capital city in the southwest of Kingstown. The volcano is here. So the worst affected areas are the northeast and the northwest. And evacuation orders were issued for all persons living in the northeast and the northwest in the red zone, and also in the orange zone, and particularly the areas in the orange zone closest to the red zone. The whole country is covered in ash.
The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, stated that evacuation orders have been issued for people living in the areas most affected by the volcano's eruption, as large volumes of volcanic ash have accumulated.
The volcano is here. So the worst affected areas are the northeast and the northwest. And evacuation orders were issued for all persons living in the northeast and the northwest in the red zone, and also in the orange zone, and particularly the areas in the orange zone closest to the red.
On Sunday, the National Emergency Management Organization of St. Vincent and the Grenadines reported pyroclastic flows at La Soufriere, leading to the possible destruction and devastation of communities close to the volcano. The Disaster Management Agency also said that the volcano current activity pattern is similar to that of 1902 eruption. According to Professor Richard Richardson, top geologist authority, the eruptions are likely to cause more damage and destruction. Most of the country remains out of power and covered in ash. The authorities are also instructing Vicentanians to clean the volcanic ash properly and how to avoid breathing the irritating particles. This Sunday, a new massacre was perpetrated in Colombia. On the occasion, 4 people were killed in Samaniego in the department of Nariño. With this fact, Colombia arrives to the massacre number 27 of 2021. Digital media reported that in the middle of a celebration, 4 people were murdered, coming from the municipality Samaniego. The identities of the victims or the origin of the incident continue as a matter of investigation. However, citizens of the sector reported that in the previous days, a statement by the armed group calling itself the Guinea Pigs was circulating, which they threatened to kill all those who consume liquor and drugs in the area. This is the 6th massacre in the department of Nariño and the 27th in the entire country so far in 2021. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Iran condemns a terrorist act perpetrated on Sunday against the Natanz nuclear plant and promises to take action against the perpetrators. The head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, AEOI, Albar Salehi, has considered the incident that occurred earlier this morning in the electrical distribution network of the Natanz nuclear power plant, located in the center of the country, an act of terrorism and desperation, which, according to his spokesperson, Bahruz Kamalvandi, caused neither damage or contamination. Salehi has said that his recent act of sabotage in Natanz exposes the failure of those who work hard to stop the growing development of Iran's nuclear industry. In Somalia, more than 116,000 people were displaced from October 2020 to date as a result of an intense drought exacerbating the current humanitarian situation, according to the United Nations organization and government agencies. The National Executive Branch and the Office for the Coordination of Human Affairs of the United Nations detailed in a statement that residents of about 50 districts in these territories suffered the impact of water scarcity. In turn, they indicated that the situation could deteriorate further if the predictions that the April-June rainy season will have an average rainfall below the historical average. In the face of this humanitarian scenario, both the United Nations and the government of Mogadishu called on the international community to provide financial funds to help 2.7 million people across the country in need of assistance. The polls closed in Benin this Sunday after a presidential election that has been marked by violent demonstrations as incumbent President Patrice Talon ran for a second term. The results are expected in the coming week, but Talon is the favorite to win. Sectors of the opposition claimed the vote was going forward without a number of top challengers, including one from the party of former President Boni Yayi, who was disqualified from taking part. Over the past week, protests have erupted in several cities across Benin, particularly in those favorable to the former president. And now we continue because votes were being counted in Chad on Sunday after polls closed in the country's presidential elections, where current President Idriss Déby Itno was widely expected to win another term in office. Some polling stations opened later than expected in the capital, where streets were lined. A constitutional referendum was approved several years ago means the current president can now serve 2 more terms, potentially staying in power until 2033. While running for a 6th time in its oil-producing country, Dubai has campaigned on promises of building schools, paving roads, and improving living conditions in one of the least developed nations in the world.
First of all, we are the members of the CENI, National Independent Electoral Commission, and we have come to do our job, and we cannot be satisfied with any result. We are neutral. We thank God that everything went well. There were no problems, no incidents. That's the main thing. Everything went according to plan, and that's the main thing.
Suspected Islamic extremists have attacked and set ablaze the offices of several international aid groups in Nigeria's embattled northeast. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for Saturday's attack in Damasak, but suspicion fell on a faction of extremists aligned with the Islamic State group. The Norwegian Refugee Council said the attack jeopardized its work and threatened the lives of many aid workers. The attack renewed fears for the safety of humanitarian workers who support 8,800 internally displaced people and 76,000 local residents, according to the United Nations. The attack on Damasak is the 4th on the town and its surrounding area this year, and the 2nd attack on humanitarians in the past 2 months in the northeast Nigeria. The Philippines on Sunday received its 2nd batch of 500,000 doses of Sinovac Biotech's CoronaVac vaccines purchased from China. Philippine Airlines, which flew the vaccines to Manila, handed over the shipment to Carlito Juancin Galvez Jr., the official in charge of the Philippines' vaccine procurement efforts and also the chief implementer of the National Task Force Against COVID-19. As of April 10, more than 1.1 million people in the Philippines had been administered COVID-19 vaccines, according to Galvez. The first batch of 1 million doses purchased from China arrived in Manila on March 29th. The Philippines Department of Health reported on Sunday 11,681 new confirmed cases of COVID-19, bringing its total tally to 864,868 COVID-19 related fatalities. The toll rose to 14,945, including 201 more deaths newly recorded in the Southeast Asian country.
Important because we are racing against time. Our cases are rising, and we wanted also to inoculate our people immediately because
the chief top epidemiologist from the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Hu Sunyu, noted that despite its success in controlling COVID-19, China remains exposed to risk as the pandemic remains severe globally.
Globally, the COVID-19 is still at the high-level pandemic stage, with the daily reported case as high of 300,000 to 500,000. The pressure of imported cases has not alleviated on us, while the risk of local outbreak caused by imported case still exists. Although China has withstood the green test of severe winter and the populous mobility during the Spring Festival, there must be no lapse in the routine prevention and control measures.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.
Pakistan